Okay. When you were a little boy, how did your parents discipline you?
I don't remember ever being disciplined.
What about when you and your brothers did some shenanigans? Like, remember, did you almost burn down a barn or something?
Yeah, we did.
You burned down a barn?
Uh-huh.
And you didn't get punished for that?
Yeah, but it was not physical punishment.
It was more like,
Ice cream, or, things like that.
so they never like time out or,
Well, yeah, I guess time out, but no physical.
there wasn't no spanking or anything
No.
like that. They're just words that your conscience just felt bad. Okay. Do you remember any other shenanigans that you and your brothers did when you were little?
I would need to review my history and get some tips. I'm sure there were, but I can't remember any.
Right offhand? Did you?
Do you mind if I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Grandpa, you said you burned down a barn?
Yeah, well, not completely.
Could you
Yeah,
expound
tell
on
us the
that?
story.
Yeah, we were smoking, and smoking
Corn husks or something?
yeah, homemade stuff.
Yeah, corn. It was probably corn.
Homemade stuff. And the straw caught on fire. It didn't burn the barn down, but it did burn some of the straw.
Who were you doing that with?
There was two boys. They were brothers, twin brothers, and I can't remember their name. This was in Litchfield,
Richfield?
and they were kind of
Troublemakers?
a bad influence.
How old were you? Do you remember?
Probably 7 or 8.
You were 7 or 8 smoking?
Yeah.
That's pretty young.
Well, it was not smoking tobacco.
It was smoking, yeah.
It was more like
Just,
rotted wood that's porous.
did you inhale?
No.
It's like,
And who put the fire out?
I don't remember. Fire department, I think, because we fled.
you fled. And so how did your parents know you did it? I mean, did you confess?
No, but they knew where we were, and there may have been someone that
A
saw
witness?
us,
Yeah.
and I made them aware of it.
So, did you always share a bedroom with all your brothers? Because I
No.
remember you had 5 brothers that you shared a bedroom with.
5 of us, 1 bedroom.
Yeah, well, in the Kensington house there were. Wait, there was
1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Four.
You.
Yeah, there were 4 of us, but it was a big room.
And do you have any memories of being silly or?
Well, actually, Leon and I shared 1 bed in one end of the room, and the other 2 brothers, who were much younger, shared the other end of the room.
So it kind of had like 2 rooms, like that was their
Yes,
spot.
without any physical separation.
Oh, and do you have any memories of being silly or?
Well, we were not allowed to make any noise once the lights were
Out.
out. And my dad, who was hard of hearing, could hear any sound that came out of our big bedroom.
So your mom was strict. Was she strict?
Not as strict as my dad.
Really?
But she was,
Your dad was more strict.
yes.
So if you didn't obey, you kids just knew better.
We knew better.
Knew better. Okay. What other childhood? What? I had some other. Had to do with your childhood. Did you have a best friend when you were a little boy?
A little.
Do you remember any of your best friends' names?
Well, when I was a child, a little boy, from the kindergarten, first grade on, we moved a lot. So
Your brothers were your best friends?
my brother,
Leon.
Mhm.
But then did you ever, when you moved to Salt Lake, did you have a best friend?
Uh-huh.
And who was that?
Well, Blink must have gone out. When I was growing up, maybe, what happened?
Got more light.
He just turned on that
Oh,
one.
it was the top light there that went out, I think.
Yeah, it was the top one. Do you remember your
Yeah.
best friend's name?
Yeah, when was Kent?
You remember his last name?
Bolton. He lived just across the street and down a bit. And I had another good friend that lived in the same ward. His name was Bob Hatch.
Yeah. Good.
And
Do you remember doing anything with them? Like, what did you do together?
well, with Kent, we and a bunch of other boys always, every day, played ball in the street.
Baseball? Or
Baseball.
was it with a stick?
No, a bat.
With a bat?
Uh-huh.
So you played, that was every day after school, or
Yep. During
other-
the weather.
depending on the weather? What else did you do with your best friends?
Hmm.
Like your-
What did we do? We used to go to the park and over and just watch the animals.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any pets when you were children?
I can remember when I was very young that there was a dog in the house. But for most of my growing up years, we didn't have a pet. I remember my dad brought home a dog once when I was maybe in the first or second grade, and my mother disliked the dog so badly that it didn't last very long.
Do you remember what kind of dog it was?
No, it was probably just a mutt.
Like standard size mutt.
It
No, what
was
is
small.
small? What about jobs? Did you have her jobs as a child?
Oh, I don't know about as a child, but from the time that I could push a lawnmower and rake leaves, I made money
Doing neighbors'
doing
yards?
neighbors' yards.
Do you remember how old you were when you started?
Probably about 10, 11, I would think.
What about a paper route? Did you ever have a
Oh,
paper?
yes. Yes, at about the same age.
Same age. So you mowed lawns, raked leaves, and had a paper route.
Yeah, I had the paper route. It was a little bit later because I quit when I was 16 and could get a real job.
Mm-hmm.
And and I delivered papers during 3 years or more.
Did you ride your bike, or was it just?
I rode my bike.
Okay. What about? Okay, now how about your own children? What do you have any funny memories of Rob when he was a little boy? Was he a good boy?
Oh, yes.
Was he obedient?
Yes, as I remember.
Did he ever get in any trouble? You don't
Oh,
know?
not Rob.
Not Rob. Not Rob.
How about Cosette?
Cosette, yes. Cosette and Melanie got into trouble.
So what kind of trouble do you remember me getting into when I was a little kid? Little kid, not teenager, little.
It's just dumb things like, I can't even remember.
Do you remember when we got Hearst Castle, when I got lost?
Mm-hmm, I do.
And do you remember any details with that? You just remember I got lost?
Well, I remember looking for you, and finally someone that worked for the castle, I think, found you, as I remember.
What about in Brazil? All the, like, do you remember the story about when you thought I was kidnapped?
When we thought you were kidnapped?
Uh-huh. Remember that story?
I don't.
When you got a new chauffeur and a little girl said that I got into...
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Vaguely. And she thought it was that you were being kidnapped, huh?
Because we had got a new chauffeur, but in reality I was mad at somebody or something.
And crawled into the car, right?
I think I crawled into a shower and fell asleep or something like that.
Oh. How did the car get involved?
I don't know.
And
Do you remember
we
that
thought,
a neighbor or a little somebody said that I got into a stranger's car, something like that? You don't remember that? Do you? What about Rob and I? Were we good friends when were we nice to each other?
I think so. I think you were.
When
He was a nice older brother.
and you remember any other trouble that I caused?
Trouble that you caused.
Yes, when we were in Brazil, when we lived in Brazil.
Well, I don't remember Rob ever causing any trouble. Specifics, I don't remember you causing any trouble either, but you were a little more mischievous than he was.
But you don't remember any specific happenings?
No?
No. Oh, it's
Oh,
probably...
I think you got lost. And,
Yeah, several times.
yeah.
Yeah, in Hearst Castle, and then...
Oh, yeah, I remember you getting lost at Hearst Castle.
Right. And then somewhere else. I don't know. I can't remember. Okay, well, what about Melanie when she was little? Did she cause any problems?
I don't remember any of the problems. I know that the kids cause problems, because that's normal, but I can't remember any serious problems caused by any of the kids. I think I can't remember any.
Okay, so when one of us got into trouble, who was the main disciplinarian? I know the answer to this, but you,
I mean, between me and
you and Mom.
and Mom, probably me.
And what did you do? How did you discipline?
Probably deprived you of something that you like to do.
I just remember spending a lot of time in my room. And then you would come in and talk to me, talk about the transgression.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, but there was never any corporal punishment that I can remember.
no.
Going to the room, yes.
Mm.
Maybe being deprived of some kind of a privilege, but I can't recall any offhand.
Now, I forgot to ask this one on the. What was your relationship with Lila, your sister?
Well, I always thought it was good.
But you were close, were you?
Yeah.
Her being the only girl in the family, how was it different?
Well, I don't know, because I didn't know anything different than that. But my sister and I were close. I can remember that.
Do you remember the accident that she got into?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember very vividly?
Vividly, yes.
Yeah, what happened?
It was Valentine's night,
Mm-hmm.
and there was lots of snow on the ground, and we were out delivering Valentines, and I was not with Lila at the time of the accident, but she apparently was crossing 8th East between Kensington and Bryan Avenue, and was hit by a car. And I heard I heard about the accident before I went home, and it was one of my friends or kids in the neighborhood that advised me that Lila had been hit by a car. And of course, the first thing I did was run home, and she was in the hospital by that time. They'd already taken her to the hospital.
What was the damage? What happened to her?
Oh, several limbs broken and concussion
But she was okay.
and cuts and contusions. No, she really wasn't okay. She was nip and tuck between life and death for a while.
Really?
She was
So that
very
was serious.
Seriously injured, yeah,
Mm.
as I recall.
She spent a long time in the hospital?
I don't remember. I don't think so, but she spent a long time in splints and bandages and so forth.
Now, what about any of their other kids, your brothers? Did anybody else have any kind of accidents, or
No,
everybody
no one had anything even close
to what she
to
went
what
through?
she went through. No.
So everybody's relatively healthy. and-
Yes,
How old was she at the time?
I think she was 7 or 8.
Which would have made you how old?
12, 11.
And you were living in Salt Lake at the time?
You think of anything else to add to that? Is that any new information?
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Oh, is it?
Good.
Oh,
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, it was a very traumatic period of time for the whole family.
When Lila,
Lila's accident, yeah. Because we could not understand. We knew what went on. It was hit and run.
but they never found who did it?
Not to my knowledge. Although my mother told me later that they knew who it was.
They're just suspicions, but never
Yeah, right.
concrete.
That's probably it, yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking about that. It was very traumatic.
It was very traumatic. I liked Lila as a child when we were growing up. I liked her.
Did she have that pleasant demeanor that
Yes.
she has? I mean, all her life she's had that pleasant.
Right.
Have you ever met Lila?
Mhm.
My Aunt Lila? Oh, really nice. Probably the nicest person you'd.
Yeah, she grew up that way.
Always nice. Never say anything about anybody. Just
Oh, it was pleasant.
always pleasant. That's all.
Do you know how it affected your father or your mother, Lila's accident?
Considerable distress. Of course, I was young too,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't have the same ability to assess the situation and how they were feeling. I know that they were going through agony, but we were all together. And she was in the house, recovering. I mean, she would spend some time in the hospital, but it was
Mostly
mainly
at
just
home.
to get, she came home soon.
So with your mom had to take care of her and raise and take care of the rest of the kids.
Yeah, she did have some help come in. And I don't remember for how long or even who it was. She used to have the ladies come in and help whenever she gave birth to a new child.
She have all her kids at home?
Uh-huh.
That's
Oh, no, in the hospital.
right.
But,
But after when she came home.
yeah, they'd come.
Lila?
Uh-huh.
No, my grandma.
My-
She's
my
talking about.
mother, yeah.
Okay, I was confused about because
Yeah.
pronoun. I had a question. Oh, how long did it take Lila to recover?
I don't remember specifically, but it was a long time because she was really mutilated in the car accident. Fortunately, it was winter time and there was a lot of snow on the ground, and that in part cushioned the effect of the accident. But when I first saw her after she came home from the hospital, I was frightened.
Because of
She looked terrible.
disfigured
What's her
or
face?
Well, she
just
was all
broken
bandaged
bandage and
and
broken.
splinted,
Oh, yeah.
and mouth was all cut up and contorted. And
Did it affect her and have any lifelong disabilities or
no, she
not
recovered.
disability? Did she recover fully?
Yeah,
fully?
yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it helped me with the closeness of the relationship that Lila and I had when we were growing up.
You mean it made you get closer when she
Right.
had her accident?
Right.
How did it help you get closer?
Well, I don't know. I guess I realized that I almost lost something valuable, and I always had an affection for my sister. She was the only sister, and the rest were rowdy brothers.
So do you think all the boys in your family had the same kind of affection towards her? Or do you think yours was just a special relationship?
I think I had a more special relationship. That may not be true. That's just the way I felt.
You perceived it, your perspective of it.
Yeah. And I always shared a closeness, and I think that was one of the things that did help. That closeness, is, being so close to her, seeing her go through what she had to go through.
How did you help in her recovery?
Well, I didn't do anything physical. Physically, she had my parents and the doctors to take care of it. I was too young anyway. I mean, there's only
Yeah, there's much you can
three
really do.
years, I think 3 years separating us in age. But I always had an affection for my sister. She was the only sister, and that affection continued into latter years. I always had a special feeling for Lila, and felt very sad when she died. She died.
Yeah, she's the first sibling to
First
pass away,
so
huh?
that's no, not really. One of the twins
right.
died as a child.
Right,
But
David.
she was an adult when she died. She
Adult,
was
right.
the first of the children to die.
Has he talked about David? Okay, that's the coming. You want Melanie? Should I, Melanie?
Yeah.
I don't want to wear Dad out.
No, you're fine.
Any more
I
questions?
don't want,
Is there anything you want to add about Cosette and her family?
Cosette and her family, after she was married?
Yeah. Now, previously, anything you'd like to add about Cosette?
Well, I didn't have a close relationship with Cosette once I got into my teenage years. I was going to school, I was working and studying at night, and I didn't see much of any of my
How was
siblings.
that?
Cosette.
oh, you're talking about Lila.
Lila. Oh, yeah, Lila. What did you say, Cosette?
Oh, he's asking about me. That's okay.
We were just asking if there's anything you want to add about Cosette and her family.
Do you want to talk why you named me that?
Oh,
I mean, everybody already knows.
oh
so.
yes, yeah, I can tell you why. I was very, very much affected by the writings of Victor Hugo, and I was especially liked the Les Miserables, and of course the little girl in Les Miserables was Cosette, and I really became attached to her as a girl. I was able to talk mother into.
Did she not want that name?
No, I don't think so. I think it was common
Oh.
consent. And in fact, we had talked about it for years before you were even born. What we would name our kids, boys and girls. And so she knew that Cosette was the was
The name.
the
It
name
was
that
already,
I,
it
that
was
I
already
really
decided.
wanted, yeah.
Do you know that he saved my life? Did you know my dad? Okay, so you already talked about that?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
We
Okay,
did.
Good.
Oh,
What'd I do?
in the womb.
In the room?
What'd I do?
You were listening to the baby's heart?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we did talk about that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right, we have Melanie has a couple questions.
Okay, so remember on Kensington, you remember your neighbor across the street, kind of kitty corner? Remember he served the military and he got into a really bad accident and he fell on a pole? Do you remember that whole story? Okay, I wondered, because I don't remember all the details either. Okay, why was I born on February 12th?
Why were you born on February 12th?
Yeah, why? Why on that specific day?
Well, I don't know that we had much control over it.
Yes, you did.
We did?
Yeah.
Do you know the answer?
It was the next bank holiday. Remember? Mom had a C-section. And you just looked at your calendar to see what the next bank holiday was.
Oh, yes, to give us more time. Yeah.
So you could be in the waiting room.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'd forgotten about that, yeah.
So remember when I was about 7 or 6, you took me and Claire up on a hike and something happened to my hand? We went to the Wasatch. We went to the Watchung Reservation and we went on the hike
Okay.
and it ended badly. Something happened to my hand.
I don't remember.
Remember I got stitches?
I don't remember the incident.
Okay, well, I was like 6 or 7. Remember Claire next door?
Oh, yeah.
And we went on a hike and I was running towards the car because I was so excited because you said we were going to get McDonald's. And I tripped and I fell on a big old pile of glass. And then I had to go to the hospital and get stitches.
I remember it vaguely.
Here's the scar. Okay. So remember those summers that we used to spend a month in Park City?
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about that?
Well,
This is when I was in high school. So circa 89 to 91.
it was a good way to get away from the heat of the valley.
Mm-hmm.
And we liked our little house up there. At least I did.
We'd rent condos.
And it was fun to be away from the normal surroundings. And,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I really enjoyed it, didn't you? Didn't you?
Yeah, we did it for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Every summer.
It motivated me to convince Marilyn, when we were married, to buy a house in Park City or in Deer Valley.
So pretty.
Did you buy a house in Deer Valley?
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
But we stayed there. So did you like living in Mexico?
It had some negatives and it had some positives.
3rd grade to second to the middle of 5th.
For you?
Yeah, so I can't remember what ages. I think it was like right after baptism for 3 years. So what was because you know how every bank holiday we'd go on a vacation?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any favorites?
While we lived in Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we always went to the beach, right? Didn't we go to Yucatan once?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's the 3 pyramids, right?
right.
Crazy. and he liked to talk down to dealers and get a good deal out of artifacts. He was a smuggler. Just kidding. Did you like teaching me how to drive?
I remember doing it. I don't remember my emotion. I think that I was overprotective of my daughter and not particularly interested in seeing her drive.
Mm-mm.
I don't know whether...
And I thought it was your car.
Well, that probably had part of it too. Probably was part of it. But it's that period of growing up that is very difficult for parents. And I think it's even more difficult for the male than the female parent. It was very difficult for me seeing my daughters grow out of childhood. And I think I felt it more for you than for Cosette, but I felt it for both.
Was it hard seeing them date as well?
Scary.
Let's not go there.
And you said Melanie was a bit of a troublemaker. Do you remember any trouble she got into?
I don't
Stop.
remember. I don't remember any. I don't think she was a troublemaker,
Oh, whatever.
but she did. The word troublemaker means that she makes the trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was always the case. But yeah, there were times when she was kind of a challenge growing up.
How was that?
How was that a challenge?
How was she a challenge?
She didn't necessarily want to do things the way her parents wanted her to.
How did you come to deal with Melanie and Cosette growing up? You said it was difficult for you to adjust. How did you come to adjust to it?
Well, it was difficult to see any of my children grow out of childhood.
Mm-hmm.
The same was true with Rob, although we expected him to become a productive citizen of society. It was different with the girls. I was not anxious to see them leave the house. Was that a surprise?
Yeah.
No. I had great affection for my daughters.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
So when I graduated, were you excited or were you sad? High school.
I think it was, I can't remember, but I think the emotions were probably mixed. Because I really enjoyed our children, all three of them, but especially the girls. Maybe that's the bond that the father supposedly had. Daughters, female offspring, but it was hard seeing my daughters grow up.
So, did you enjoy driving me to seminary every morning?
Enjoy. I don't know whether that's the right word or
At
not.
5:30 every morning?
I didn't. I never considered it anything except.
Time to run?
No, except a duty that I had to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that I was sorry to have to do it or was unhappy that I had to do it. I was happy that my girls went to seminary. I wanted it to happen.
I don't think we had a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, because we wanted it to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay. So here's the question of the day. Did you think it was weird or normal that when you came home from Portugal, you had a pregnant daughter and you hadn't met her husband yet?
You mean that I'd heard she was pregnant and hadn't met the husband?
Uh-huh. Remember you came home and I was pregnant and you hadn't met Ian yet?
No, I remember that, yes.
Did you think it was weird, not okay, or just normal?
Well, no, I don't think it was anything out of the ordinary or normal.
Was it weird to meet Ian for the first time?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Because, didn't we meet him at the wedding?
No, you didn't come to my wedding.
Oh, we didn't?
Mom came, but you didn't.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So I missed a very important phase in your life.
Not really. Well, yeah, but...
Yeah. Well, it was important for me too, because I missed that act of my daughter being given to a good man. I had to do that by proxy, by hearing it from my wife, or. But it's a very big event to miss.
Mm-hmm.
Very big event to miss.
Um,
And I regret it.
So what did you think when you left? Were you scared to leave me all alone? Did you think I was gonna be okay
When was this?
for your mission?
Oh.
Were you nervous about leaving me all
absolutely.
alone?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
What were you worried about?
Well, this was something new.
Because Gordon B. Hinckley said I could go.
Really?
And I said no.
We had never
I was a junior.
had that absence before. Of course, we were both worried, and we were abandoning the job of raising a child.
I was a junior in college.
Yeah, but still, you were our child.
That's my last question. When you, during your career, did you like traveling so much? Or did you dread it?
Well, I understood it as part of the job. I didn't dread it. Because I enjoyed my work,
Yeah.
and I had a good job. And I met a lot of nice, interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really happy in the job I had. So it was a price I had to pay for those other benefits.
Do you remember the poem that you wrote me for my wedding?
Yes,
I still have it.
I don't remember it, but I remember doing it.
Yeah, I still have it.
I remember the title that said something like, I love advice from a father who loves his daughter and gives her to another, or something like that. Isn't it that way?
Why did you decide to write a poem for her wedding?
I love poetry.
Well, I was a poet too. Mm-hmm. In high school and college, I wrote a lot of poetry. What else? Oh, okay. So I'm sure you don't know this, but I want you to know this. Every time you traveled, you brought me home something, and we had a deal that you would always bring me home a postcard. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And I collected these postcards. And when I was like a senior or junior in high school, I had a shoebox full of these postcards.
But I was still traveling when you were
Uh-huh.
a senior, right? And after, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was my favorite thing as a child, is looking through those postcards.
Oh,
And as an adult, that's one thing I would want if I could go back in time, is that little collection I had.
where is it now?
Oh, it's gone. I don't know. But it was such a neat little, that was our deal. Every time he left, every city he went to, he had to get me a postcard.
That's cool.
Do you remember any of the cities?
Well, I think when I was in high school, you were, you like went to China. And then you're more South America.
It's in South America, yeah. But I did go to the Far East,
I remember a couple times.
and I did go to Europe, but South America was the emphasis.
Oh, this has to be on paper.
Okay.
This is a very important event. Okay, what happened when you went to Hawaii? Do you remember someone who took care of me? What did she do that was so monumental? So disturbing.
Who was it?
Remember, you and Mom went to Hawaii and left me alone?
I remember.
And Mom liked to have a treat for me when I got home from school. And she bought this babysitter a box of Twinkies. Does this ring a bell?
Yeah, to give you.
To give me one a day.
Yeah, and the babysitter ate them all.
Ate them all. And they were gone for a whole month. And I had no Twinkies. So she was known as the Twinkie lady.
Did you ever hire her again?
I don't remember. Did we?
I was very traumatized by this. I think I was like second or first grade. And then that same year, it's in school, we did this 50 states program, and I got Hawaii. And there was this song about being burnt, and I had to wear like a grass skirt. And there they are in Hawaii, and here I'm singing about Hawaii.
Was that when you were picking up Rob from his mission?
Could have been.
Could have been.
How funny.
The Twinkies.
Yeah. Where did he go?
Australia.
Australia. Yeah, it could have been. That's right. Australia. I had a momentary lapse of memory.
So what is your favorite, do you have a favorite memory of my childhood?
Well, the thing I remember most, I'm not sure it's the most favorite, was when I first saw you as a little baby. And I'd seen others before. I'd seen Rob and seen Cosette. But for some reason, I felt a different emotion than it was kind of like with Cosette and Rob. The first time I saw them, it was, well, that's nice. We have new children in the family. But with you, for some reason, the emotion was deeper than that. And I don't know why.
Because I was cool.
You're cool.
So do you remember spending lots of hours lecturing me as a teenager?
Uh-huh.
I remember one in particular that was 2 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah. He was a good lecturer.
Was it effective?
I don't know.
No.
I guess so. She turned out fine.
That's true. That's a good way to look at it. I turned out fine.
Yeah, I looked at our efforts of raising you as successful.
I'm good. I'm glad. Some tough years, but
Yeah, but they paid dividends.
yes.
No, I don't. it's not that I don't look back on the years that we were raising any one of our 3 children, or all of our 3 children, and said there were no hard times, because that's not true. But the experience overall was a good one. And with each child, the feeling was different, because with Robbie it was the first child to be raised, and we didn't know how to do it. And with Cosette, she was the first girl, and we didn't know how to do it. So with Melanie, there was a little bit of difference because we felt more experienced, but still felt like parents that still are feeling their way along the trail, not completely sure how to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes, kids.
Yep.
With Birdie, it's like, psh. Do you remember when Porter was born?
Not specifically.
In Salt Lake?
Not specifically.
Okay, this has to be written down.
When you tell me, I'll probably remember.
Remember, I was on bed rest and I was like 80 pounds of water.
Mm-hmm.
And
I didn't remember that, but when you told me,
I was living in Kensington.
Uh-huh.
And then Porter was born a month early because I was toxic. And after 2.5 days labor, it was an emergency C-section.
Right.
And Ian hadn't left my side those 2.5 days. And finally, when he was born, Ian was starving. And so you took him out to eat. It's the first time he had eaten in 2.5 days. And during that time that you were gone, the doctor came in and asked me to give permission to give Porter a spinal tap because he was sick. And he couldn't breathe, and it was just downhill from there. But that meant a lot to Ian because he hadn't left my side in those 3 days. But when Porter was 1, I went back to work. And Ian was a probation officer from 1 to 10, and I worked for Franklin Covey for 5 years, right out of college, and I worked from 8 to 12. And Ian had to work like on every other Friday. He had to go in at like 9 or something. So Dad would watch Porter. Like every Friday, he would come to the house, take him to breakfast, and it was so cute because they would go to like Denny's, have the same thing, sit in the same place. He would take Porter to the park. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
Porter loved Grandpa. Those were good days.
Yeah. Very good days for me.
Took him to the zoo.
I'm glad we were in town.
So those are cute.
What do you remember about that time?
It must have been while I was still in college, right?
What?
When this happened.
What do you mean?
Like, what do you remember about watching Porter?
When Porter was a baby.
Yeah, but I'm trying to place it with my environment, what I was going through at the time.
You were living here.
Were you retired already?
You were retired. And you would come down. I was living
okay.
in Kensington.
Okay, I remember now. I was trying to give a reason why we were in town at the time, and
This was post.
So it was after I retired.
Post mission.
This is post mission. I think it was, yeah. This is after your being mission president.
Yeah, so we were free.
Retired.
Yeah, retired.
And you'd come and help me out
Hmm.
every other Friday.
Yeah, I remember.
What do you remember? What activity did you like to do?
Probably take him to Liberty Park.
That was just like down the street. Yeah, I liked living there.
Yeah, she lived in the house that I grew up in.
When my grandma, I was living, where was I, in Kaysville? I think I was living in Kaysville, and my grandma went to a nursing home. And they asked me to move in, take care of the house. And then when she died, he bought the house, we remodeled it. And then when I went to Moscow, they sold it. So,
Yeah, it provided a nice house for you, didn't it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Couldn't live in it now, but it was comforting because I loved my grandma. My grandma and I were buddies. And it was comforting to know that it was her home. That's all I have, folks.
Okay.
One question. How is it adjusting to retirement?
Drove her nuts. Because
Well,
you have this man who was busy, and then all of a sudden all this free time. Right?
yeah, pretty much.
Because I remember Mom. So there was a period of adjustment.
There's no question about it.
Was it difficult?
Yes. Yes, I often thought that I should not have retired.
But when they first moved here, he worked part-time for a while.
Yes.
He worked with the consulting group for a little bit. So it's kind of like he tapered off a little bit. So it's not like he moved out here, because I moved out with him. It was between my freshman year and my sophomore year of college, and then when I graduated Rick's, I lived here. And he was still kind of working because he would leave. So I think it was a good transition because it just tapered off. Right?
No, it was good for me. And it's been years since I even thought about that period of time. But
I remember it well.
I had some concerns about retiring and not having anything to do. And this was something I could do.
Mom and I were crying as we were leaving New Jersey. And the day we moved, like the moving vans came, it was pouring from morning till night. And when I'm talking about raining, we're talking like big drops all day long. Remember that?
Not clearly.
And then I was in the car with my mom, and you were in another car. I don't know where you were. But
Well, we were probably transporting we had two cars. So we could have been transporting the two cars.
But yeah, Mom and I were just mad.
Mad at what?
Moving.
Oh, moving from New Jersey.
Uh-huh. And I think we got lost or something happened right as we were leaving. And Mom says something like, "It's because we're not supposed to move."
Why did you decide to move back to Utah for your retirement?
It's their home.
Well, yeah, it's an ancestral home, I guess. Also, the economics made a difference. And we thought we should be in Zion for our benefit, the benefit of our kids. And the cost of living was considerably less in Utah.
At that time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably still is.
I don't know.
Were you sad to leave New Jersey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really liked our life there. We had not lived there my whole career. We were overseas quite a bit, and we had a nice house. At least we thought it was a nice house, and nice community, and we were happy. Kids had good schools. We thought we had the best of it.
Hmm. I was spoiled because I would go in maybe once a month, and we'd either go to a show, dinner, or I would go to the opera with my dad.
New York?
Yeah, because my dad was a member of the opera, Metropolitan Opera House.
Oh, really?
Well, I was a subscriber.
Whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. And so he had season passes or whatever. So my mom and dad would go, but sometimes my mom just was not in the mood. So I was the lucky goer. So it was either we just go out to dinner, but I loved visiting him at work. I thought I was the coolest to go into New York and visit my daddy at work.
Did you have any favorite places that you liked visiting in New York? Any restaurants?
Oh yeah,
What was that mama place? That mama...
Mama Leone's
Ay.
Italian restaurant.
And that place across the street from your work that had that great onion soup mix.
Oh yeah, what was the name
Onion
of that?
soup.
Right, I remember it.
Ay.
Did you say that's one of your favorite restaurants?
Mama Leone's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
It
enjoyed
was
that.
so good.
But that was the onion soup. Wasn't Mama Leone's? That was
No.
another.
That was across the street.
Yeah, we had a lot of good restaurants we went to in New York. Yeah.
What about that Italian one in Summit?
Yeah, that was good.
What was it called? Sorry.
Oh no, you're
We could be here for hours.
good.
We
Keep
got
going,
2
yeah.
minutes on the tape,
Feel
so
free.
let's fill
Well,
it
we
out.
have more tapes too. So.
Yeah.
I think we're good. But there's one. Marco Polo.
Oh yes.
That was the one in
New York.
Summit, and it was a little questionable.
Why was it
Questionable?
Well, I heard things in high school that certain mobsters would hang out there.
Oh. Well, New Jersey was a hangout for mobsters. It was rumored.
So I would always look
Keep an
around,
eye out.
look out for the mobsters. Anyway,
That's
Were there any favorite dates that you would take Grandma on to New York?
fun.
Well, we frequently would go in for dinner and a show, Broadway show. And those we both enjoyed.
It's fun.
And we didn't do it every week because that's an expensive night out. But yeah, we really enjoyed doing that. Or we'd go in to the opera or the symphony, and we subscribed for many years to the New York Philharmonic and to the Metropolitan Opera. So we were culturally enriched in New York too. We
yeah.
enjoyed that. It was good. And I would just stay in New York after work. Marilyn would take the train over and meet me, and we'd go out to dinner, the opera or a play, and then come back on the train.
It's fun.
Yeah, we had a good life. We really had a good life in New York.
You did this once a month, twice a month? Few
It was
times?
frequent. I can't remember.
Probably once a month, because I went a lot too.
Yeah,
That's neat.
yeah. Well, we had a good life. I had a good job, so we weren't extravagant. We had a nice house, but it wasn't.
I thought we were poor.
Yeah,
Not poor, but I was like, how come we don't have like a BMW like they do, or How come we don't have this like they do?
What did you drive, Grandpa?
An Oldsmobile.
In my day, it was like a Sentra wagon, plastic
Oh,
interiors.
that was your mother's car.
No, she had the nice car, the Maxima.
Oh, I thought that was my car.
No, you had the Brownie
Oh,
that I would drive.
oh, that's right, yeah. Yeah, there was a time when we used Nissan products and had two cars, but one was top of the line, the Maxima, and the other was the Sentra, which is a cheaper model. And that was the one I would commute to and from New York. And
All right.
Funny.
What is that?